just a follow-up question for you. Do you find, and the agency world specifically, do you find that having kind of grown, kind of created this community that you have, this big community, have you found that that has just been a natural byproduct of being, a busy agency recruiter, or have you found it to be really kind of, useful, a resource that you find yourself tapping into consistently, from going from like 10, 20, 30 to 60, community, thousand members? Have you found that to be a big part of your kind of day to day of finding talent, of placing people in roles?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think it's funny you bring that up. It's something I've been kind of, I wouldn't say like wrestling with, but like I think a couple weeks, months ago, like when I hit 45 or 50, I was like kind of thinking like, what is the ultimate end goal, right? Like, I mean, obviously I'm active on LinkedIn because like we're recruiters. We live on LinkedIn. Like I'm not going to be on
Yeah.
Instagram trying to build that. Like, I mean, job seekers that I'm looking for are mostly on LinkedIn, right? So I think I'm kind of at that point where like, how do I really utilize this in a way? Obviously, like, to build connections is the ultimate goal, right? But like, obviously, if you're in business and in sales, like, how do I kind of turn this into not even just business, because I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, he's just reaching out to me for business or et cetera. Like, I don't want to be that
Mm.
guy that every time I reach out, I'm asking for something. So definitely, I think up to this point, like it's been really good for like just getting referrals, getting talent, getting people. Like I could post them, like, hey, I have a remote HR role and probably get 30 to 40 emails from people or referrals, right? So I think that, and going forward, I don't know what that looks like, but I think I'm learning every day on like kind of how to lean into my network, kind of be real with them, and just I think it's a learning curve. I'm still like very early in it, still trying to learn that. So curious to hear because I know both of you guys are daily posters as well, and kind of how you guys are, I guess, experiencing that. Or Andrew, I know you get a lot of inbound from your stuff too, so curious to hear how you guys kind of leverage that as well.
Yeah, I actually had a question that I think is a good segue based off your question to me. All of us really have different content strategies as recruiters, right? Like I I tend to focus a little bit more on talent acquisition and more of kind of I actually have a pretty blended approach now with my strategy, right? Where sometimes it's a meme, sometimes it's a quote, sometimes it's a long post where I'm unpacking a big idea. And I know both of you have kind of different things that make it your content unique to you. My question for you, Vince, and really for, Daryl, you could jump in here too. Like, what are some ways that recruiters can build credibility through their content? Because I think recruiters have a bad rap in a lot of ways. We all know that. And, honestly, a lot of it is deserved. And I would say that that extends beyond their behavior and their approach to recruitment. Sometimes it's their content as well. Some of the content is like real head scratchers. I'm like, I don't know why you thought that would be a good idea to post that. But how do we use LinkedIn as a way to really build credibility and trust? Yes, with candidates from your end, Vince, I'm sure this also bleeds over into potential clients as well. Like, what is the kind of secret sauce there that you have found to earn that trust and earn that credibility?
Yeah, I mean, tough question. I like it though. I think for me, it's been probably just being like you. I think kind of goes back to even when you're reaching out to candidates. I think everyone just wants transparency, right? Like I think when recruiters are, I've seen a lot of questionable things as well. I think for me, like anytime I post something out there that's like job advice or recruiting advice, whatever, I always like kind of preface it with like this is not the end all be all. This is not. I'm saying this is going to guarantee you a job. I think just being real, it's recruiting is not all great, right? There we mess up. I mess up. I probably have someone waiting on feedback right now that I should have gotten back to them before this call, right? But like I think being real about that, and I think one thing too is like a lot of people don't really understand what recruiters do to an extent, right? Like we're not just this like career coach, like we're here to get you a job. Like I mean, to a point, yes, but I think really kind of to your network, like explaining what we really do, be real with them about like expectations and things like that. I think that's probably the first step. I don't know if you can ever, there's always going to be that one person that's like, I had this one recruiter 5 years ago that ghosted me and I hate recruiters. Like there's always going to be that one person, right? But I think just being transparent with people, owning up to, your mistakes or things like that, and just kind of I think really just explaining the process. I think a lot of people don't really fully understand like what you do, Andrew and Daryl is like internal, or what I do as agency. I don't really think they understand like what our actual jobs are. So I think that's probably a good starting point and just kind of build that,
Yeah.
mend that relationship that I feel like right now it's like a back and forward battle between job seekers and recruiters, and it shouldn't be, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say like tone is everything, at least from
yeah,
what I've seen, right? You got recruiters that are very like aggressive in how they like phrase their content, and a lot of times it's like, don't approach recruiters with this, don't talk to a recruiter like this, or don't do this. And it's just like, one, it makes you look like a douchebag. Two, you're right. Like, unless you're in recruitment or involved in the hiring process at some point, you probably don't know to what extent recruiters are doing or TA teams are doing, right? So there's almost like welcoming people into the world a little bit, right? And just saying like, this is how we operate, this is what we do. And it's not about coming forward saying, hey, like we're perfect. It's just saying like, this is our
exactly.
approach, and almost bringing that humane aspect right back to the profession.
I think that's a good the human part of it, right? Like bring that part back. I mean, not transactional, really kind of bring that extra touch.